What's up guys, it's Timmy and welcome back to Factorio. So, as you can see by the many red blinking flashing lights, my base is having a bit of an issue right now, and that's because between episodes I have been off, as I said I would in the last episode, clearing some of the biter bases because they were getting pretty close. As you can see, I've expanded my map quite a bit and I've kind of cleared my boundaries out, and this is I think where we were with pollution on the last one, even though the base has shut down. And as you can see, we've got a bit of clear space around us, but we're going to have to deal with it again in a bit. But I wanted to crack on and progress because I've opened up enough space now to go and have a look around for the site for our mega factory, so the actual whole point of this game. So, but before we do that, we probably do need to get the factory up and running again. And the reason it's shut down is because it's run out of coal, unfortunately. Do I have a little bit? I have a little bit of coal on me so I can get things jump started, but we need a bit more coal. Ideally I'd like to find something up here, but I don't believe there is any. Ugh, painful. When I set the map up for this one, I decided I would, I normally have or set it up so I've got large or small number of large resources. So for example, there'd be a large iron plot but not that many of them, so that way I can kind of build a massive mining outpost. This is quite a good one over here. Let's just grab this one for now. I can build like a massive mining outpost, but on this map I didn't do that, and now I've noticed that I've got sort of lots of little patches sporadically spread everywhere, so that's going to become a little bit of a pain in the future when we have to come up with a way of feeding our massive base with all the resources it's going to need. But something tells me there might be trains in our future. Right, so we're not going to do anything clever here, we're just going to literally do one ridiculously long belt. That's all our belts. Fortunately there's another 100 I think waiting at the base for me. I kind of had ideas that I could run this back into this and then turn this around so it goes the other way, but with the iron being there that's going to be painful, so just hope we've got enough belts to finish this. Don't think we need to go that far. Right. Where do we need to hook up to? Just down here. 32 left. I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Damn it, I missed it by one. Yep, we have enough. Awesome. Right, so once this is hooked back up, we'll run some power cables out and jump start the system with a bit of coal we have in our inventory, and then we'll be good to go. Then we can go off and have a little bit of a look at the new land that I've opened up. Yeah, there's nothing in that chest, unfortunately. Right. Let's get things going. What do I need to do? Click on this. Okay, it's only been like a day since I played and I've still already forgotten. There we go. Right, let there be light. Now we just need to hook this up. Do we have any more materials? Yeah, I did grab a bit of wood on my way out, so we don't have to go scavenging for scraps of wood again. Yeah, what can we hook up to? Here. Satisfying mechanic where it auto lays them for you. As I keep saying about this game, it just has so many of these nice little features like that that just make it so much more playable. We got enough to make another miner. Oh, we got loads. We will shunt these up and put as many as we can in here, I think. Then we're going to have to do that so that we can get that little block at the bottom. I don't want to leave that at the end. Yeah, that'll do. 3 is sufficient, I think. We were running off 2 before, so there we go. Right, that's that done. And there's one more job I did want to do back at the main base. Do I have splitters yet? I do. I want to put a load balancer in here so that it loads onto both sides of the belt. Oop. Make sure I finish that. So if I do this and that, there we go. Now it'll fill both sides of the belt, which No, it won't be a problem down here, I don't think. No, I got that set up so it'll work, that's fine. It'll take a minute for that to come all the way around, but it'll get there. Right, so the thing I wanted to do over here was put in some steel production somewhere. How do we do that? We need to... Basically, we need to cook iron plate to make steel. So... we do this. Not really worried about making tons of it or linking it up to anything right now. I just want to make sure that I've got a little bit in the supply before we go off exploring. See all my turrets where I've been off turret creeping all the bases. It's been there's some pretty big bases out there already, to be honest. I think what's happening, because as I say, in the past I've never felt like I've been attacked this much this early. I think it's because I'm in the desert, and in this game trees and other things like that actually block the pollution, and because there's no trees or anything, I think it's just spreading out a bit quicker than it normally would. How am I going to get coal over to there? We don't have smart inserters yet, do we? We have belts, so can I move this? It's still connected, it's just that one that's not doing anything now. What I want to do is see if I can just stick an underground coal belt in for the moment. I'll need a splitter as well. Yeah, so I'm well clear of pollution now, but yeah, it won't take long to get up to here. I think the main factory that I'm going to be building is going to be... I was thinking here, but maybe in this space here. Make it horizontally across here, that might be the better way. And then we've still got all this space over here. I found that there's a big ocean here, or big lake, and one here as well. And I think at some point in the future there's going to be a wall across here. Sort of probably across like that. And then we'll probably do the same like here. And depending on what goes on over here, somewhere here. So that we can basically claim this whole thing. This little like area, this pinch point here is quite nice. It does make defense quite a lot easier, but... we're still a ways off that, obviously. Right, how can I do this without disturbing my clusterfuck of a sorter? Can we reach to that? Ah, just too little. Need the long belts. I think there are long belts. I think you can make. I think the red ones go slightly longer, maybe the faster belts. But we can't make them yet. Ah, balls, how can I do this? I don't think I can. Let's just put that back as it was. You know, we're making enough iron plate. Let's just make our lives easier. There we go. That should do. Right. I don't want to take coal all the way down to there, so we are going to have to put it on a separate belt, I think. You not got any belts? We have not. Unfortunately, this is already made. I think I'm going to actually let this make a few more, because we are going to be chewing through belts pretty soon once I start marking out the main design of the base. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do that. It'll drop onto the end of that belt, and that arm will then put it into that chest. And how am I going to get coal? I suppose I could put coal there. It doesn't really matter if it loads coal into the chest. I need to start doing something with all this bloody copper. It's coming in on both sides of that belt, so I can't just... I'll have to load balance it, which is annoying. No, it's not exactly ideal because it is going to block this chest up with crap, I think, but here we got another one here. Let's just do this. As we have what we need to do it. No, let's keep that flowing through. So that's alright. Right, so we have a bit of steel production. Yep, there goes our first one. Awesome. And it'll fill up this belt if nothing else, so that's fine. I can even have another one here that I can do this just so I can get just steel. Right, there we go. So when we come back there, we'll have lots of material. So let's go and have a look around and see what we want to do. So I'm going to be going with sort of a main bus design. So if you've not seen anyone play this before, main bus design is kind of where you have, kind of think of your traditional assembly line type setup where you basically have big long straight belts all running through the middle, carrying all the resources and various things you need. And then you have little sort of module station bases that come off it and basically just take the materials they need straight off the main bus and use them, rather than having each little factory or rather than when you want to make something, having it make all of its own resources. You actually make them in individual modules, feed them onto the main bus, and then just take them off as and where you need them. So I'm going to do that, but with a little bit of a difference. The problem I always have when I do this design is I end up, no matter how sort of careful I am about it, I end up with a just everything being too close and tight together. So if this is kind of my central conveyor belt system, I just seem to end up building stuff too close, and then it just ends up getting too cramped. And you get to a point in this game where you just can't unpick what you've done. It would just take too long to do so. So rather than doing that, what I think I'm going to do is actually have a larger main bus with more products on it than I normally would. Normally I just stick with iron and copper and gears and chips and things like that. But I'm going to try and have pretty much everything, every resource that I can make on it. Hopefully I haven't got that many of them unlocked. So chips, gears, steel, copper, iron, sulfur, maybe batteries, but they may just get made where they're needed. I'm trying to think what else there is that you can make on this game. Maybe stone. You don't really need stone on the main bus, so probably not. But so I'm going to probably have about 8, maybe 10 rows of belts in the middle. So it's going to be pretty large, and it's not going to be, I'm not going for super efficient. There'll be a lot easier ways to do it. But I'm going to have a lot of belts in the middle, and then I'm going to actually build sort of satellite bases, which are actually a little bit away, as much as I can space-wise anyway. So I'll have, for example, the main bus is coming down here, and then here I might have the science base, and it'll take what it needs off the main bus. It'll make a few more extra components that it needs, and this will all do all of the science. And next to it might be, I don't know, like the weapons creation, so making all my ammo, my guns, my turrets, my defensive drones, things like that. And then a robotics factory, and so on and so forth. So individual things making all of what they need, kind of based around a very large transport network. The reason I like doing the main bus particularly is because it allows you to just smelt everything in one place. I'm going to have a very large, sort of giant smelting factory, probably to the left of this lake, which that also allows me, with all the sporadic ores that I mentioned earlier, to actually basically just sort of ship in materials to one place rather than sort of trying to constantly move smelting. It'll all be in one giant thing, and it'll come in on trains and belts from all over the map. So that's what I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack on and sort of mark out where I want the sort of basic main bus to be, and then we'll come back once I've got it all in place. Right, so I'm back. I've marked out the first stage of my main bus, and as you can see, I have a looks very glitchy when I zoom out, but I have 4 double rows of belts which will allow me to basically transport most of the major materials across the base. And so what I'm thinking is probably likely to be is the other thing that I often have a problem with the main bus is just chip production. I just can't keep up with it. So I'm actually going to build chip production right at the sort of beginning of the base. So kind of like I've got a smeltery that feeds into the main bus. I'm going to have a chip production here so that I can actually, I think, yeah, it's probably going to go here, so I can actually pour more additional copper and resources in and maybe feed it off its own independent smeltery or straight off the smelter if I need to. So we're going to have, I think, let's say chips, probably green, and 2 green to start off with, and then into red halfway down once we take off some of the greens for doing other things like module production. Then I'm going to have the next one, probably 2 rows of copper, maybe 1 row of copper if I've got the chips in here. Now I think we'll have 2 rows of copper, 3 rows of iron, steel, and then I may add in another one for some additional items such as sulfur and some of the chemical processing stuff like plastics and things like that. Or I might just combine them into, I don't know. We'll get to that later down. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first thing I want to do is actually get the, I'm going to start working on the smelter so we can actually feed the main bus. As this is going to keep us going for a little while. Speaking of which, so they've run out of fuel, but that's fine because we have an absolute shit ton of copper right now. I've set up advanced electronics in the researching because I basically want to get to electronic furnaces as soon as possible, which is this one, I believe. Yep, and we need to get to advanced circuits for that. Ugh, that's a pain. I at least want to get to the steel furnaces, which is what you get here. The main reason I don't really want to crack on with, I want to get to the electric furnace before I build the full smeltery is these are different sides. These are 2x2, and I believe the electric furnaces are 3x3. So I need to. It won't really work when I try and rebuild it, but we might have to build another one because this iron production here is not doing particularly well at the moment. So we might have to start feeding with a little bit of a basic production and then switch it over to electric ones when we get there, because so we do need red circuits for electric ones, which kind of means I need to get to oil processing and all that, which is quite a way off. So yeah, what I want to do then is we're going to take the feed from this one first because this is the first one I want to get rid of. It's kind of annoying, there's 2 little bits of copper in there, so we're going to have to put in a filter to get rid of that. We're going to feed that down along this shoreline here, probably 2 rows. And I think what we'll do actually is we'll put the smelteries horizontal so the ore will feed in this way, and then the iron ore will feed out, up and round into the main bus. But yeah, it's going to be a real pain. There's coal here, which is useful if I want to get something basic started up. Let's make up a few of these. If I want to make, I think what I'll do actually is I'm going to start mining this, start feeding it across here. We'll build a minimal sort of start to our smeltery, then we can start feeding stuff onto the bus. Because the reason I want to get the bus up and running now is because I want to get to building the science factory as soon as possible, and I don't want to build a science factory. Although I've done this, which has kind of helped a little bit, I don't want to build a big, fully functioning science factory and then have to come back and rebuild the whole thing when I've got the bus up and running. So, plus this really isn't working. You can see the iron is not getting through now. How much ammo do we currently have? Quite a lot. Oh, I think we're going to get rid of another one of these and just let the ammo production slowly pick up. So hopefully we've got a little bit of time before we have to get back out there and start kicking biters' asses again. Yeah, so we're hardly building up any iron plates. In fact, can we make a couple more there? What do we need for that? Of course, iron plate. Lots of steel right now. Let's just shut down steel production for now. Right, we'll keep this going. Okay, right, so let's crack on. We're getting this mine down here. Yeah, I mean it's not huge, but we should get quite a lot of miners in this, I think. Let's start at this end so I don't have to deal with that filtering out that copper straight away. We're going to go for maximum concentration. How many have we got left? 4 left. Yes, that should produce a nice amount of materials. Obviously these ones here are going to run out pretty quickly, but that's fine. I'm going to deal with that. I'll just move them over as and when it starts to mine it out. Right, so I need to I don't want to go right against this water just in case I ever need to run anything between it, but I do want to get pretty close, so that should do. Oop. How I ran offline then. Sure how you can run offline when you're just pressing a key on the keyboard, but there you go. I probably moved my mouse, that's probably what happened. Right. Yes. There we go. And actually let's get the power running up to that straight away so we can get filling up that nice long belt. Did that do them both? It did not. There we go, we'll try and be nice and efficient with that if we can be. There we go, cool. And where's the base from here? Kind of northwest. Ooh, uh-oh. Yep, see, it's smart enough to figure out between the belts where to put them. Ooh, that wasn't quite enough. There we go, awesome. Right, so we are mining now. That is a hideous thing. You can build like obviously like larger poles, not only ones that cover a more area, but ones that just sort of designed to travel long distances. But we're way off getting those right now. Get rid of this rock quickly. It's going to be in the way at some point. There we go. Right, so how are we going to get the coal in at the moment? Should be able to make loads more of those. We've got loads of stones. Let's go up and get more iron plate as always. Right, so let's run this. Put them in the wrong place, but there you go. Get carried away with just running and placing. That is not how it works in this game. I cannot do that. Right. There we go. Right. That's going to load the iron. I think we're going to have to just put coal onto this belt for now. Just doing another awful sort of splitter thing up there. I don't know why I didn't just make all of those. Knew I was going to need them, but whatever. Actually, we only need to join over to here. Ooh, we finished. Awesome. Right, the next thing I need is advanced materials processing. I need to make more green science for, which I don't have the materials for, but there you go. Right. Oh, I'm going to enjoy having to take all these out in the future at some point. There we go. That'll set it because I put it in. It was trying to connect to two at once and it couldn't work out the perfect spacing. Right, we've got loads of iron coming in already. Okay, so now all we need to get is the coal. Right, so I'll be back with some iron plate and then we can get the coal mining going and sort this belt out, which is going to be completely full by the time we get back, but whatever, that's fine. Right, so I'm back with my miners and a bit more iron. I also noticed while I was up there that the reason I was not doing particularly well at the base was because, or part of the reason I think, was because it was running low on power. I was only running at like 25% capacity, so I've added in an extra steam generator and a few more boilers, and that seems to have alleviated the problem somewhat, so hopefully that'll fix it. Right, how do I do this again? You do it in a terrible and appalling way, Timmy. That's how you do it. Right. That works, but it's on the wrong side. Annoying. I need... Oop, doesn't like me doing that. Right, I need to do... No. I'll get rid of that. Right, that does that. Actually need the iron's gonna... Copper's... the coal's gonna come in on this side. I need the iron on the other side. So let's just do it in the most pointlessly annoying way possible. Either one of these. Like I say, this is still just stopgap. This is still stopgap. I mean, not to say that when I actually get to building the full thing it's going to get any better, but you know, this is definitely stopgap right now. Right, there we go. Right, if we clear this belt now, I should just load this onto one side. We just need a bit of power for our coal miners. No, I know I'm not close enough. And dump. And dump. And dump. How did that not work? Okay, this isn't connected. That's why that didn't work. Where did I miss the line? Here. Right, that should all spring into action now. There we go. Yep. That's that done for our power. Yeah, we're still struggling a little bit. See, we're maxed out on production, and consumption is still wants a bit more. He still wants a little bit more, so we are going to have to expand that a little bit. But I think I'll do that between episodes. So I'm going to wrap this episode up around now, I think, because we have our little... Well, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to do one more thing. Not in any particularly stylish kind of fashion, but just so I can say it actually is finished. And that's to put in the place for the iron to unload. Not much point in making it if you can't get out the furnace. So there we go. And one more, thank you. And there we are. So it's not exactly a very grand smeltery, but it's at least sort of giving me the idea of where I want things to be. So I will loop this around and send it back to the main bus. And we will use this for a little while. I'll run a second line of these because with this amount of iron ore being produced, even on a one-sided belt, we can support quite a few smelters off the back of this one, I think. But we'll get to that on the next episode, or maybe I'll expand it a little bit between episodes, and then we'll be ready to crack on at the main bus next episode. But hope you're enjoying the series, guys. I've been Timmy. This is Factorio. If you haven't already seen this game, go pick it up. It's definitely worth a play. But I will see you in the next episode.